MySQL. So both are open source, PHP and MySQL. So since it's open source, so it's freely available. You can download and install. And these two are the part of LAMP stack. LAMP stack is nothing but Linux, Apache, MySQL, and PHP. So when you say LAMP stack, it does mean that it's a PHP MySQL along with Apache. So sorry. So what is PHP? So PHP is like server-side scripting language. It is loosely coupled. So I guess you understand what is meant by loosely coupled. But in PHP, there is a little difference where variable declaration varies. In PHP, we don't need to define the variables explicitly. The value whichever you will assign to a variable, the variable will take that form. What does that mean? So suppose if you assign a string to a PHP variable, that variable becomes string. If you assign integer, that variable becomes integer. So there's no need to define that variable explicitly, just like in other languages, C, C++, or Java, where you define string and the variable name, integer and the variable name. So that is not required. So that is what is loosely coupled. Now what is server-side scripting language? The server-side means it runs on server. In PHP, you must have seen on the websites we are exploring on the browser. The browser interprets the HTML tags, but it don't process PHP, because the long form of PHP itself says PHP is a PHP hypertext preprocessor. Now, what do you mean by preprocessor? Since PHP runs on a server, so whenever there is a request for a page, and if that page has PHP, then first it will run on the PHP server. It creates that HTML output and sends back to the browser, and browser displays the plain HTML part only. So that is what is called a server-side scripting language, and it's so powerful that you can develop anything. Now the benefits of PHP. Benefit is like PHP and MySQL always comes together, but it's not platform independent or the database dependent. So you can run it on Windows, you can run it on Linux or Unix, any flavor. Plus, along with PHP, you can have MySQL running, or you can have PostgreSQL, you can have Oracle, you can have any database which we can connect in PHP. So that is how PHP is more capable of handling complex situations. And obviously, since it's open source, so it's free of cost. Supports all major web servers. So in web servers, we count Apache, IIS, and any web server which can run PHP. So there are like large support for PHP. Supports all major databases, like I said, MySQL, Postgre, Oracle, even MS Access. So we can try different databases with PHP. One more research I have done recently is like you must have heard about NoSQL, no database, and we can have NoSQL along with PHP also. So that is like another information. And the development is faster in PHP MySQL compared to other languages. For the help, you have large community available. You can browse the internet, you can find a hell lot of information. Plus, in terms of security, it's a little different than Java. Java has inbuilt security. In case of PHP, you need to write your code, more securely. So the security is in the programmer's hand. If you use the framework, any of the framework, that the framework has already taken care of the security issues. But if you are writing vanilla PHP, so you need to take care of the security issues. And it's more easy to understand, proven and trusted technology, PHP MySQL. You must have seen many websites develop into PHP, even like Facebook, India Times, Reddit. There are a lot of good websites. Okay. So as I said, like weak typing, that means the variable declarations is not required. One more new thing introduced in PHP is like variables. You must have heard this word the first time, but variables are like the changing form of the variable. When you assign a value to a variable, that becomes like variable value. But in PHP, you can assign value to a value. So that is called variables. Suppose you have a variable A and you assign a value B. So your B can also be a variable. You can assign a value to B. So that is one more new thing in PHP. We have dynamic arrays, dynamic constants, dynamic functions, dynamic code, and includes. In includes, there are four more functions where differs in the functionality. Okay. Now, creating a website in PHP. So, in PHP, we have like the variable are like different types of variable we have here also in PHP. We can make use of those variables to maintain the user information also in the forms of cookies, sessions, which is in turn is like tracking user information, rewrite information from database, that is the database connectivity classes, and run on any type of platform or server. Like I said, it can run on Windows OS also, it can run on Linux, and the different web servers. You can configure it on IIS web servers also, and the Apache web server also. By default, from start, PHP came with Apache web server because it was the most compatible server it was considered earlier. And it can do anything a standard HTML file can do, and even much more since it's a dynamic language. Let me tell you about the PHP history a little bit. When PHP started, it was not called PHP. The actual name is personal home pages, which was written by, the first version of PHP was written by Rasmus Ledov, who is called the father of PHP. And like when he developed it for writing his own resume to keep it online and to access. After that, two developers like Zeev Suraski and Andrew Katzman, they rewrite the core of the PHP, and they came up with an engine called Zend. So Zend is the combination of two names, Zeev and Suraski. So that was the combination of two names, and it was called Zend engine. After that, like they came up with 3.0, and then the next version of PHP was 4, where they have added few features, which was supporting object-oriented concept, but it was not entirely object-oriented. So in the last release of PHP, which was PHP 5.3, they have added full support. Even it was added into PHP 5.0 also, and the latest version has almost all the features supported and hooks. So that was a little history on PHP. Now here is a scenario. Consider that company ABC handles online leave management system. The system will manage all the leave requests, work from home requests, add leaves, and view all the leave requests. In this system, we have two types of users: HR administrator, that is leave approval, and employee who can apply the leave. Both users have login credentials to log in the system. So what we are planning to implement is like a system where employee, HR and the employee are two separate users who have separate privileges. So each user will log into the system and they will perform their own task. Employee will log in and he'll send a leave request, and the HR administrator will check all the leaves applied and will approve or reject. Okay. So as I said, HR administrator can see all the requests came from all the employees, view all work from home requests, is the same as leave application, add leaves for particular year, manage employee leaves, view the leave about all the employees. So this is the system we'll see in actual running. So this was the role of HR administrator. Now the employee, what employee can perform is apply for the leave request for work from home, view the leave requested so far, and the leave history. Okay, the working process. Since you are well aware of the working, the online system of leave application, I will take you to the application page and the code so that you will understand it in more details. Before that, supposed to apply and approve for leave, both users should have the credentials to log in the system. Okay, so we need two tables, which is one leave details, the other is employee details, where we have the employee login information, and leave details will have all the leaves applied along with the status. So this is the employee table we have designed for this example. Employee code, which is unique key for the employee across the organization. Name of the employee, designation, contact number, email ID, username and password. These are the login credentials we'll be using. And the leave details table. So this is just a generalized example just to explain you how to work with PHP and MySQL, how to connect it to database, how the application submits the data, how the application displays it. So this is just for the basic understanding. So the example is a little smaller. This table has duration, leave type, leave from and to, and the reason along with the status. Okay, now so I'm not sure like if your company has the online leave application system, but the general procedure is to have a form to submit the leave application where you can enter all the from date, 2 days, the type of the leave, and the reason. So I'll show you how it will be. Okay. So consider this as a home page of this application, and you have already logged in. Since we are not maintaining, we have the user data here. Okay, so this is the employee table, and the interface you are seeing is PHP MyAdmin. PHP MyAdmin is like a SQL query browser where we use it to store data, edit data. So this is a kind of database management system. So we have two tables created here with some sample data. This is the employee details table and leave details. All the fields which we seen in this PDF are available in this table. Leave ID is the default key of this table. Employee code, leave type, duration, reason, and state. So state is updated by HR administrator, and all these fields submitted by employees. So how the employee will submit this part? So we have the leave application. This is a two URLs leave application response. Leave response is for administrator, but since I wanted to show you the application, so I have combined both the URLs into one account. So this is leave application for the employee. Now we have fields like a select drop-down box. You can select the leave type, duration, full day or half day, leave from. Okay, now this is the date. In normal practice, every programmer should take care that if this is a date box, it should have the date picker, and otherwise it should have the date format mentioned so that the user can enter in the exact format. Since I know this format, so I'll enter directly. Okay, now here we are applying for two dates. Let's consider some other date, 12 to 13. The reason, and we have gone to. Now we are submitting this application, so it should store the data into that table. Okay, so you are seeing this error. Whenever you came across such errors or warning, just read carefully. As programmer, you should be focused on this. Like warning or the error. Warning means your application will stop. It will keep on executing, but still there is a warning that this function is failed to connect to mail server at localhost. Now the problem with this is the SMTP server, simple mail transfer protocol, is not configured on this local machine, so that's the reason it send the mail. The purpose of this leave application form is to submit the leave application and notify the HR administrator about this application by mail. So that was the reason we have mail, but since this is not configured on this local machine, it failed to send. Now we have used PHP to show and display the errors. Otherwise we will suppress these kind of errors. Okay, I will show you in the code. Let's move back to our. So suppose we have logged in as a administrator, and this is the leave response page where we have received. You can see all the entries coming in. So just now we entered this one, work 2. So this column is showing the exact status of this leave application. Since these are approved, so these we don't have links. Now take care of these two links, because this one is approved and this one is rejected. So both has the same parameter, but the function is different. Okay. When you approve, look at the URL for this. If you can see this URL, and mouse over is happening on the left corner. So approve.php (leave ID is equal to 24. So 24 is the application ID which we have here in leave table. So this one, leave ID, the primary key of this table is shown over here. So leave ID is equal to 24. That means we have to approve or decline the leave request number 24. Now let me take you to the code, how it looks like. This is the index page. It has small HTML part. In HTML, every document starts with doc type. It has some purpose, and and the format of HTML. First we'll see leave response. So this is the part which defines your form, leave application form. You must have seen. Go back. Leave application. So this is leave application form, and under HTML this is the part sorry, this one is the leave form. So as you can see, it has a form, and the HTML part has all the other data. The form. Okay, this one I'm using Notepad++ as the IDE to edit HTML and PHP. For editing the files, PHP files or HTML files, you don't need a particular editor. Whatever editor you feel comfortable, you can switch to that editor. But if you use Zend editor, if you use Eclipse, if you use like other editor which comes with PHP plugin, so you will get the help just like this one. All the keywords, functions will be highlighted in different color. So mostly many editor comes with the plugin nowadays, so you can choose to use any editor. Okay, so this is the HTML part where we design the form. Now, what will happen once we submit the form? This form, how we can submit is using submit button. Once we submit, now take a look to this one carefully. $_post. $_post is the PHP variable which will contain all the data submitted by a form. So this is like a global variable in PHP. Submit is the name of this button. So this statement is to check each set whether the button has been clicked and the form is submitted. So we are checking the condition if the form is submitted. Then we are including a file db.php where we have DB related statements. Now this is the line where we are connecting to MySQL server and MySQL. So since this is the localhost machine, I'm using the default username and password. The syntax is like the server name, username and password. Once you are connected to the server, then select the database. Now this is the database name, an example DB. As you can see, this is the database name. Okay, now as I said earlier, in include we have different forms of include once, require and require once. So there are few differences in all the four functions. Include is like to include the file. Include once is to check. Suppose there are multiple instances where we need to include the same file to use the same variables. So include once will take care of the fact that the file should be included only once. It will not be included again and again. There is one difference into include and require, and include once and require once. Include is like telling the PHP that I need this file to be included. Require is a strict condition that the script ahead strictly need this file. That is require. Require once is same as include once, but still the require condition is same. It's required. If PHP don't find that file, then it will stop the execution. Okay. Now, after connecting to the database, we are checking all the parameters which are coming from post. this is the query, actual code query, MySQL query. Insert it to leave details. Leave ID is the default field, so we are leaving it like as if primary field. All the other details, and we are inserting into leave details table. Okay, so this is the normal format of a MySQL query, and this function executes this query. MySQL insert ID will be returned. The last insert ID will be returned by this function. MySQL last insert ID $con is the connection which we have connected here, the con variable here. So we have connected to the server, and this is the connection string, and this, even if you don't pass, by default it takes the last connected server instance. Okay. Similarly, select star from employee. In this example, if you have seen, we are using ID as explicitly 1. The employee ID 1, since we don't have the login form, so what we done is like we are using static value as employee 1. So this is the code, and as I said, mail was not configured, like SMTP server is not configured on this local machine, so this function is failing. But this is the general structure of a mail, like how you should be sending mail out of PHP from PHP. So you can set the subject. These are nothing but the variable now. To is the variable, header is the variable. So, but this is part of mail headers. So this is how you define mail header. The content tag, text, HTML. If you want plain text, that is also possible. Just change this to text or CSV or anything. You can even have the attachment. And this is the body part. I need leave from. So this is just a message for the HR administrator to understand your application, to notify them. On the leave response, we have the same HTML part which will display all the requests. Now take a look to this one. This is the header of the table which is available under leave response. This is table employee name designation. This is for the HR account. So this is the header part, employee name designation, and the later part is coming from the database, which is the data. So select start from leave details. All the leaves will be fetched with this query, and we are displaying it in a loop until and unless like we finish displaying all the rows. The loop will continue. And this is the anchor tag which we'll use for further approve.php file. Now in approve.php we have a function which is actually updating one field. This one, this status from leave detail table, because the rest everything has come already in this table. So what HR need to update is the status. Once the status gets updated, the user or the employee will see whether his leave has been approved or rejected. So we are sending the leave ID, which ID we need to approve or reject. So first, as a normal practice, as a developer, we should check whether that leave record is existing or not. If it exists, then we can go for the update part. Here we are actually updating the status. Now update leave detail, set leave type, duration from where leave ID is equal to leave ID. So here is the condition where we find the exact leave which we need to update with the status. After that we are displaying. Okay, now in this cycle also we need to update the employee about his leave approval or rejection. So again we are using the same mail function, PHP mail function, where the subject line will be different, but these are the same variables, same type of headers. Message will be different, and we are sending it out using mail function. So I hope you must have understood this small application, leave management system. It can be a bigger system in the part of the HRMS system. So what we actually followed to create this application. First we need to create the tables, create login form to log into the system. We don't have that login form into this example, but still you can try on your own to have a login information, login form where user can log in and check his account. Then we create leave application form, store leave details into database, notify leave request through mail to the HR admin, or it cannot be just HR admin, it can be your manager, it can be your technology head. So that is dependent on the email address or the database structure you design. Approves leave, notify leave status to customer or the employee. So these are the steps we followed for this application. Now creating a leave application form. So as I have already shown the HTML part of the form. So this is nothing but the HTML part explanation, where we have leave type, duration, leave form, from and to, and the reason. So these are the values submitted from the form. So this is our form. Now code to create the drop-down box to select leave type. So you have seen this drop-down box in leave application page. So this is called a drop-down box, where we have multiple values to select. So you can select one value from this. So this is the code to create the drop-down box. Select name. Name is the name of this element, ID of the element. Option value 0 is the default value select. Then you can have more values for the drop-down box. So each option is one value for this drop-down box. So we have 3, 1, 2, 3, and fourth one is default. Okay, for the duration also same drop-down box. We can follow the steps, only change the name and ID of this element since it's a different element. The input name from create. Go to create text box to get leave from and leave to. So this is just a normal input type. Then text area to submit the reason, and the submit button. Submit and reset. The main functions of submit is submitting the form. The reset will normally reset the form or clear the values. This is the code which we have seen here. The same code, same file. You can choose to have different structure, different names. So here is also, in this example we are using Notepad++, As I said, ID can be used, any ID. Leave request. So normally this is the leave request form with the data. Storing the leave request, we need the table in the database, establish a connection to database and insert it into database. So these are the scripts we have already seen, storing and sending the mails out. Okay. This is the admin account where admin need to approve or decline. As we have already seen this, to approve leave request, login as HR, view the list of leave requests by employees, approve or decline the leave, notify the status of the leave to employees through mail,